Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, welcome to Industrial Talk. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you once again for your continued support of this platform that celebrates industry professionals. Yes, you are bold, brave, you dare greatly. I say it all the time. I am a big fan of who you are, you industrial pro. You're changing lives, and you are changing the world. We are here on site right now. It is Accruent Insights, which is a user conference for all of their wonderful solutions, and they have customers. They're talking about solving problems, and we are in San Antonio, and it is a great event. All right. He's amazing. He's never been on the podcast before, but he should have been. His name is Jason Meshell, and he is with Microsoft Azure. So let's get cracking. Yep, you're having a good conference. We already had that conversation.
Yep. Great conference.
I like the people. You know what I've been noticing about this conference?
What's that?
Is everybody's focused on the customer. Like Accruent is really customer-centric.
Yeah.
Obsessed with the customer, which is a good thing, not in a negative way. It's just that's the sense I get.
Yeah. Caring, not stalking, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Let me write that down.
Yeah.
Caring, not stalking.
That's right.
But that's
obsessed.
true.
Yeah. Making sure that you understand why they're here, why they would spend money, time, energy to get here. They prioritized it. So it's important to prioritize them.
No, absolutely spot on. Well, before we get into the conversation about your relationship with Accruent, give us a little background on who you are.
Sure. So, been IT professional for 25 years. Spent about a decade at IBM. And then when I started to see the cloud really kind of emerge, I saw Microsoft's strategy around it, decided that's the group that I wanted to be with. So jumped on board. Steve Ballmer was still at Microsoft. And then right after I joined, Satya took over the helm, and everything was cloud first, mobile first. So everything's been focused that way since I joined. And so I've got to see the evolution truly of an industrial strength cloud from the ground up. It's been a great journey.
Help the listener understand what that is.
Sure. So, back in my IBM days, we sold mainframes. And we took a bunch of data all across companies, all across the world, actually. We put it in one central location called, a mainframe. What happened was we distributed all that information across client-server world, and you had servers under everybody's desk, and servers in closets, and data was spread all over the place once again, which was great. It was an evolution. But what people realized is, what if we could centralize all of that again in the cloud? So it's literally like you take a mainframe that's like physically hosted in an area, you move it to the cloud, which is a cluster of compute and storage across the world that you then can make smarter, faster, more secure. And it's like literally you take a mainframe, put it across the internet, and you have the ability to aggregate, and the economies of scale give you the ability to do things much faster than you would before. So that's really the cloud.
It seems to me that it's great explanation. What fascinates me is there's still some reluctance to get into the cloud. Some people are still talking about on-prem and making that safe. Help me understand why Scott McKenzie, need to get into the cloud.
Yeah, easy. When you walk out of here and you drop your phone on the road when you're getting into your Uber and it runs over your phone, where are all your pictures going to be? Are they all on your phone?
No.
Where are they at? They're in the cloud?
In the cloud.
They're in the cloud, yeah. So you don't want to lose the pictures of your wife, of your grandkids, of your hunting trip, of the painting that your grandpa, painted, but, it burned up in a fire, but you have a picture of it. The digital representation of your life is stored in the cloud. And so why would you want to put it all on a device that could be damaged when you could have it put into a space where it's going to be protected, and then they replicate that in multiple locations across the world so that there's a tornado in Kansas and it hits the data center where your pictures are stored, there's another copy in Tennessee or in Utah, so you can still get access to it. You get your new phone, you upload it, there's your contacts, there's your pictures. That's the power of a cloud on a very economic and consumer scale.
where is, and I don't even know the answer to this. I just think everything's going to be a server farm.
Yeah.
Eventually. They're just going to be building up the server farm. The demand for power is increasing.
Sure.
How do we address that?
Well, just this week, I don't know if you saw it, Scott, or not, but you remember the movie The China Syndrome?
Yes.
When 3 Mile Island melted down.
So I saw the story.
Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Bill Gates, Microsoft, what do? We're going to go in, we're going to take this mothballed nuclear reactor, and we're going to make it safer. We're going to partner with the company that's creating the nuclear energy, but that's going to be specifically to power AI to help the world transform and change and bring things to market that we never thought possible.
Really?
So that's what it's for. That's what it's for.
For AI.
For AI.
The power to
You got it.
Need it for AI.
You got
Generative AI.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
I just read the headline. Wow, check that out.
Well, look at that.
What? That's distracting.
Yeah, it is.
I wish I could change that's incredible. People are on stilts, and it looks pretty doggone cool, and it's beautiful. Okay, there you go. Now I'm all distracted.
That's okay. I can get you back.
You're second. All of a sudden. I didn't know that was the case.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So we have this facility that they're going to address the power issues, but that's still just in one area.
It's just one area. But what you're looking at, there's a reason that Google's data centers, Yahoo's data centers, Microsoft's, Facebook data centers are by hydroelectric dams. They're by nuclear power plants. They are by solar farms. Why? Because they all knew 10, 20 years ago that they were going to need the power to generate, because if they're taking all of the data that's plugged into your garage, that's plugged into an office building downtown, if all of that compute and storage is now in a different location and everybody's aggregated there, you're going to need big power to be able to supply the needs. So that's why people are moving these data centers in locations where they can be directly next to power. So part of the strategy of Microsoft is to be close to those power sources, and even looking at other power sources like nuclear to be able to do it cleanly, low carbon footprint, and at the same time generate enough throughput that they can actually make the AI run and hum, because it does take a lot of compute power.
It is amazing, but then we haven't addressed the infrastructure as well.
Sure.
The transmission infrastructure.
Yep.
All of the wires, all of this. So
that's why you put it close.
Yeah,
that's why you put it close.
Yeah. It's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the relationship you have with Accruent. What are we talking about?
Well, so like any relationship, it typically starts small, right? And you start to build trust. And so a couple years ago, Marvin Clark, the CIO, and I started on a journey where they were looking at cleaning up their data. They were doing big data projects. They were doing some machine learning. And as we started to go through that evolution, they wanted to take some of their older applications and get them up and into the cloud. So we started helping them to transform some of their applications through a DevOps process to the way that they were building certain things. We were partnering with them. They have a great team, and they've added some really good new talent. And so as they started to transform that, we were starting to move some of those applications up into the Azure cloud. And, a year and a half ago, this thing called AI comes out of Pandora's box.
It just explodes.
And it goes everywhere, right? Well, because Marvin did such a good job and his team of cleaning up the data, they were able to take advantage of AI earlier than a lot of other companies because the data's clean. Garbage in, garbage out. If you have bad data, you're going to have bad results from AI. They're getting good results out of AI because they cleaned up their data ahead of time. So that's one of the reasons that our partnership, I think, has grown faster than some of my other partnerships, is they did the hard work ahead of time to clean things up. It's anytime you move, whether it's from on-prem and into the cloud, or you're trying to move grandma's apartment and she's taken the entire house down into the condo she bought at the beach.
Yeah.
What do you do with the piano?
Yeah.
It doesn't fit, right? So you have to figure out how you're going to move certain objects up into the cloud, so you have to refactor. And Marvin and his team did a really good job doing that. Marvin, Christy, and the rest of the team.
Do you see that there's going to be, because they've done a good job at that, and it just seems to me that there's going to be a continued demand for your solutions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Continue to expand.
Yep.
Because now everything is just data.
Yeah.
It's just
grab
as much data as I possibly can.
Yep.
Use some sort of algorithm or AI or ML to try to analyze that data as much as possible.
Yep.
Spit out results and just keep doing that day in, day out.
Yep. Improving it.
Yeah.
Constantly.
So how do you, as Microsoft, just take that into consideration? Because There's a tsunami of data.
Oh, without a doubt. And so what Accruent, Service Channel, and Gordian, facilities asset lifecycle group, is they're looking at all of the facilities that a company may have, a college, a hospital. They're also looking at all the assets that they may have inside of those buildings. And a lot of those assets are now instrumented. 20 years ago, they weren't.
Yep.
Now they are. So there's a data flow. The Internet of Things, the IoT data stream that they're able to capture, they can take that, harness it, put some intelligence around it, put some context around it, and serve up some very interesting things for their customer base. So it's like, oh, this college, they have all these facilities, and they're full 9 months out of the year. 3 months out of the year, they're dormant. Well, what do we do with those? How do we help our community? How do we open these spaces up so that we can help with summer schools and different things like that? The performing arts, nonprofits, they can use these buildings, and if they have the ability to, they're censored, let's let the community know they can use them. Colleges right now are using FAL and Accruent software to start to look at these things and go, we can be a better citizen, the college can, by making sure that we understand where our needs are. And guess what? The downtown university is no longer as populated as it once was. We need more space at the suburban university so we can reallocate resources. We can reallocate where people are, where they need things against all the different assets and the life cycle of all of those facilities. And that's what these guys are doing. The ability to have cloud gives you the ability to take massive amounts of that data, which you can't put, say, on a server under your desk. You spin it up into the cloud temporarily, you run all your calculations, and then you spin it down. It's like renting an Uber. You don't need to buy a car to go to the airport. You rent the Uber for once, it drops you off the airport. What Accruent's going to be able to do is take the data that they need, the need they have for that 4 hours, put it up into the cloud. Microsoft will process it. They'll have the processing power and the storage. Then when they're done, they shut it down. Uber goes home. They have the ability to do massive transformations without having to pay all the time for servers sitting in their own data center. We'll handle that part.
I'm noodling on what you're saying. So I'm sending data up in the cloud. We're processing that data in a way that needs to be processed, making it relevant, making it real, whatever it might be, tactical insights. And then you say shut it down.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is, so storage is, quasi-permanent if you want it to be, but the actual computing power to do some of the projects that you're looking at, take a massive data set, and it's like putting 100 PhDs on a problem in a room. But the PhDs are the AIs that are going to be working for you.
Yeah.
Take all the data from all the buildings. Let's say it's a hospital system that has 300 locations. Take all the data, you load it up into the cloud in one data set, and then you put the throughput and you put the PhDs of the AI around it to start asking it questions.
Right.
But you don't have to leave all of that data in the cloud forever. You then pull it back down and you don't have to pay for it anymore. So it's bursting. It gives Accruent the ability to have massive power of Microsoft behind them, but they don't have to pay for it 24/7. They pay for it for 24 minutes. And then they pull it back down because they got to the airport, the Uber served its purpose.
Where do they pull it down to?
So basically they just load the data up into the cloud.
Yep.
And then they pull it back down. They chew on it and then they pull it back down.
Pull the results out.
You got it. Yep.
And then there it is.
You got it. So they don't have to pay for massive amounts of compute and storage all the time in their own data centers. We handle that. Just like Accruent doesn't have its own, let's say, hydroelectric dam to create electricity. They utilize the utilities. They're now utilizing the utilities, the industrial strength utilities of Microsoft's cloud, compute, storage, and now AI that has the ability to do so many computational problem-solving challenges. That's what they're really doing when they're partnering with Microsoft. It's secure, it's hardened, it is very reliant, and it has the ability to do things we haven't been able to do before.
Is there a latency?
Oh, always.
But it's not.
There's always a latency, and it's this. It's how fast can you send light through tubes. And so the closer you are, even because you're moving at the speed of light.
Yeah.
But even though you're moving at the speed of light, is the data compressed? So Netflix tried to solve this problem a long time ago. They created a company called Netflix, right? They were still mailing people CDs to their home, to their mailboxes in their home. But they knew someday they were going to be able to compress an entire movie and send it through the internet. So Microsoft is working on, working with compression technologies, all those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Well, Netflix is stored in the cloud. It's not on somebody's server, right?
No, absolutely.
And then they pull it down. Yeah, there is latency, but that gets better and better, faster and faster as we're able to compress and decouple a lot of the stuff. We say, we can't fit this piece through at the beginning of the movie, but at least put the first part through, And as you start watching it, the rest of it's loading behind, but you never know.
No.
Because they've organized it in such a way. Same thing with this. There's always latency, but you have to look at it and say which pieces of information are the most critical at the beginning. You surface those first, and then you let the rest of the problem come as you need it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I like that. That's an interesting solution. How does Azure take into consideration everything is growing exponentially?
Yes.
Data everywhere,
Yes.
getting sent up. How do you, Azure, take into account that that's happening all the time?
Well, I'll tell you.
For that. I don't know.
Well,
how you do it.
I just told the audience there of 1,000 people at the user conference. The only thing that's limiting Microsoft's capacity is the speed at which concrete is drying. We have the permits, we have the land, and we have the contracts with the customers. They're demanding more capacity. The concrete is drying only at a certain rate, and we have to test it. We have to make sure that it's ready. And as soon as it's dry, we put the servers into the data centers to serve up more cloud power. So literally, Microsoft is in business actually even of right now. If your data center is located in the right location and you're wanting to get out of it to get into the cloud, we may buy it from you. Because literally the concrete's not drying fast enough, and we need more capacity, and AI is making it even more in demand.
Oh yeah.
Because it
that happened overnight.
Yes, and it requires big hardware, and it requires power optimization. So we're actually putting AI into power optimization for our very own data centers now. Show us how to optimize power better, so we put it in the places where it needs to be, and we can also put our data centers in locations where they need to be, and AI is helping us make those decisions.
Yeah, it's dead sexy.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. You're the man.
No.
Yeah.
It's our customers, as the speaker said this morning, when you build the right kind of community, everything works.
How do they get a hold of you?
Go to LinkedIn, Jason Meshell, Meshell on LinkedIn. Reach out to me and we can talk.
Fan-frickin-tastic.
Thanks,
That
Scott.
was a hell of a conversation. All right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. We're going to have all the contact information for Jason out on Industrial Talk, so reach out. You can tell he's got mad skills, most definitely. Once again, Accruent Insights is where we're broadcasting. It is in San Antonio, and it is a great community of individuals that are fascinated and wanting to solve problems. All right, stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Yeah, another great conversation. Jason Meshell. Microsoft, you might have heard that company before. We were at Accruent Insights. It was a great user conference. With people like Jason wandering around. He's just wandering around. We're willing to dish out some insights to anybody who would listen. That's Jason. He's fantastic. Talking about how the power requirements associated with AI, it's all there. It's happening, and it's going to happen, and you better be a part of it. To find people like Jason, sort of hang out with and pick his brain. All right, we're building a platform, as I always say. You have a podcast, you have technology, you want to be on the podcast, you just have to go out to industrialtalk.com. Industrialtalk.com, reach out to me, and then we'll have a conversation. Anything to help you succeed and amplify your message. That's what we're all about. Be bold, be brave, dare greatly, hang out with Jason, change the world. We're going to have another great conversation coming from Accruent Insights shortly, so stay tuned.